Second from First Southern, but Aaron and I met actually just a year ago. Coming out of the Compass Conference, I had the opportunity to speak at a conference up in Milwaukee, and I got done, and Aaron came up and he said, "We've been looking for you guys our whole lives." The words you've always wanted to hear. I've only heard it once before. Right? He said, "I represent a credit union out in San Dimas, California, called Christian Community Credit Union. Our goal is to proclaim the name of Jesus Christ through banking, and I can't believe we didn't know about you." And so, along with him is Tim. Tim is a community president. Tim Hopper is a community president with First Southern National Bank in Kentucky. He actually recently transitioned, right?
You're working on that.
He is recently transitioning out of the community president role and into a semi-retirement, focused on outreach, similar to what Chris Davis did. And so we just want to have a transparent conversation. So the goal isn't a competition here. It's actually pretty cool to hear our two banking friends locking hands and talking about how they can partner, right? Which is the beauty of the Christian community, that even though we serve the same customer, and in some respects we're competitors, we are one body of Christ. And we lock arms and we say, how can we serve one another? And that wasn't scripted. Wasn't me saying, hey, before we get up there, you guys got to be friends, right? They were just having that conversation, because for followers of Christ, that's the natural response. You meet a brother, you meet a sister, you've met a friend. And so I'm excited to talk with these guys about what it means to turn a banking business into a ministry. So we're going to start here with Aaron. Why don't you tell us about your organization, its vision, its mission, and the business's basic operating model, where you operate, what services you offer, those kinds of things.
Great, thank you, Brian. Thanks for inviting us up here to speak. I loved learning the story of the credit union when I joined a little over 4 years ago. The credit union was formed 68 years ago by a small handful of Baptist ministers who got together and were just comparing stories and said, it is so hard to get funding, to build a new church, to expand ministry. Banks just don't get us. And they said, well, what if we pooled our resources together? We could help other ministers in the same boat. And that's really how it got started. It's a community of Christians pooling the resources God has entrusted to them to help serve ministry, to help ministry grow, to help proclaim the name of Jesus throughout the country. And that's what still animates our actions today. That's what gets us all out of bed to go to work, is to do that. Our purpose, our mission is to serve Christ followers to live and give more abundantly. And when we did the research for our brand positioning, it was really clear that generosity, giving, is in the DNA of the credit union. And that's really at the center of what we're doing as well.
Thank you. How about you, Tim? Tell us about First Southern and just its vision, its mission, and how it operates as a bank.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity. By the way, Aaron is a Cubs fan.
Yes, I don't know. That's going to go over
very well. So First Southern National Bank has a long history with Compass and with Howard Dayton. We're in our 43rd year of existence as First Southern National Bank. But we have some charters that go back to the early 1900s, late 1800s, and some of our banks. So we are very much a community bank. We're deeply rooted in our communities. 12 counties of Kentucky. We're covered in with 17 locations, about 1.3 billion in assets, and nobody cares about all that stuff. But we basically, the community banking piece is where we really kind of hang our hat, because we know our communities. People that work in our branches are involved deeply in many aspects of our communities, including our churches, civic groups, chamber of commerce, those types of things. And we too, our purpose is really kind of where we hang our hat. Our purpose statement is we will use our example, our influence, and our resources to help others make wise financial decisions. And that really looks good on the boardroom wall, but we've taken it beyond that. We talk about it, and we talk about it a lot. And for those First Southern folks that are here, they realize most get-together, that comes up. It's really talked about with our lenders because they're face-to-face dealing with people. And we pass on some deals as a bank that other banks will readily do. And we do that simply because of that purpose statement. Is this in the best interest of the customer? And we try to explain that and talk through that and walk through that and coach and counsel and become friends. We are very much into relationships, not so much transactions.
Wow.
Good, thank you. So, Tim, tell us more about, how First Southern actually conducts ministry in the business. So when we say that you view the business as a ministry, what does it actually play out like in the course of a day or a week or a year?
Okay, well, let me kind of go back. We'll roll the clock back to the early 1990s. And our founder, Jess Carell, and some of the folks that were on the leadership group at the time, the bank was up and running. Things were moving along pretty well, but John McIntosh, who's here, and Dale Ditto, they kind of got with Jess and said, listen, there's this Bible study that talks about money and finance. Jess, do you know there's over 2,000 verses that talk about money and finance? We really need to get together. This is back in the 13 weekdays. As Dan Lewis likes to say, you start on your knees in prayer, you finish on your knees in prayer. You better know the memorized scripture verse, or you don't get to participate. So it kind of goes back to that. But that was a paradigm shift for our company. Jess really, it's not that he didn't know these things, but it really came to light. And they made a decision then and there to tithe on corporate profits. So the River Foundation was born, and many of you have heard the name the River Foundation, and that's our philanthropic arm, if you will. That's where the money flows to. And it's very much Acts 1:8. We're helping people down the street and across the state and across the country and around the world. We're touching everything. Our main River Foundation board plays a large role in that, and Compass is one of the benefactors. But it also moves down into all of our locations throughout the state of Kentucky. We all have a River Foundation team, and we can take care of needs in our own communities through those gifts that come down. Now, I will say, and these stories get bigger with age. We were talking about fishing
Like any
stories.
good story does.
Yeah, we were talking about fishing stories last night. So supposedly, when this kind of happened, that we were just going to tithe on corporate profits, Jess talked to Howard and said, Howard, great news, we've been through the study, we're going to tithe on corporate profits, but I got a question, Howard, should we tithe on net or gross? Anybody ever ask that question? Howard, classic response, Jess, what do you want, the net or gross blessing? So we tithe on corporate profits. So we've done that for all these years, and have been blessed to literally give back millions of dollars through the years back into the kingdom. For me, being involved with our local River Foundation through the years, to be able to see people come to Christ because of this, to help people in a time of need, maybe a cancer situation, a home burnout, a mission team from the local church, whatever it is. Those are some of the ways that we're able to go back into our communities.
Wonderful, thank you. Aaron, how about Christian Community Credit Union? What does ministry in your business actually play out like?
Yeah, we like to consider ourselves a financial ministry. We are comprised of Christ followers in all 50 states, both individuals and families, as well as Christian ministers. And we really see our role as helping provide, helping share the blessings from God, to build ministry, to help organizations that are mission sending organizations around the world. So we also give on earnings, and we're a not-for-profit financial institution. So when the profits we make go back to members in the form of better rates and lower fees, but also enable us to give on behalf of our members to ministries that are helping spread the gospel around the globe, that are protecting vulnerable children, and helping bring an end to modern slavery. So it's we really have a heart where we feel it's our responsibility in our service to the kingdom to share financial discipleship. We want to help our members become better disciples in their financial lives that are disciples of Christ. And that's where Compass really comes in. I mean, we've been so blessed by our partnership with Compass and all the rich source of content and materials that we are able to share with our members to help bless them in their daily lives, and they're hungry for this. And our hope is that they're in turn then able to then bless their communities with this knowledge and this gift.
Awesome, thank you. So Aaron, this one is yours first. So as a ministry operating inside of a business, even as a non-for-profit business, how do you balance the potential conflict between trying to make as much money as possible within reason and truly helping your customers lower their own costs? How do you balance that as an organization?
So I actually don't think that profitability and being a good steward of your customer relationships are at odds. I think that if you lead your organization with a servant's heart, if you love your customers as yourself, and you engage with your community with a generous heart, profits follow. I mean, it's good business practice. And we don't exist just to earn profits for shareholders. So when we earn more profits, we're able to give that back to members, and we can pay them better rates on their savings. We're able to give more generously to give back to the kingdom, to the ministries that I was mentioning. And it's it really I think staff who feel valued, who feel the love of Christ through your action, through your behavior, perform better, and they serve customers better, and those customers do more business with you, and the profits follow.
Great, thank you. Tim, how about for First Southern? How do you negotiate the potential conflict between profitability and good ministry activity for customers and employees?
I think very similar to what Aaron mentioned, and it kind of comes back to our purpose as far as helping people make those lifetime decisions, because we will go a lot shorter on amortizations maybe than oftentimes customers want. The old question, I guess, is like, how far can you stretch this out? And we don't look at it that way. We look at more of what can you afford, how can you afford it, what's best for you in the short term. You know, I had a customer not long ago, a businessman that called me out in our lobby and said, "Hey, I'm paying my note off next week." And my response shocked me, because I said, "That's correct." And he said, "I thought you would want me to keep it so we could make more money on it." I said, "We want good loans, we're in that business, but we are thrilled when a customer pays off their note, because that's how it's supposed to work. And it gives you margin in your life, and it increases your margin, and it allows you to enjoy life, to live life, and if you have another need, you're in a better position for that." So I think along those lines really is the fact that we are very cautious when we do lending, and we try to look at short amortizations and take care of people and get them out of debt. We're really all out to the bank, we don't see people get out of debt. So it kind of goes against the grain, but that's how we look at it.
Great, thank you. So Tim, to business owners out there, or senior leaders, or anybody really working in the workplace who might be considering a more intentional approach to viewing the business as a ministry, what wise counsel would you offer?
That's a good question. I think follow your passion, follow your heart, follow what your desire might be in your community. If you've got let's just use a pregnancy center, a soup kitchen, something in your community that you have a passion for, you have a heart for, figure out how you can join them. It's easy to write a check. You know, most everybody in the room probably can write a check. Somebody comes and needs a little help, $50 check, $100 check, $500 check. It's really pretty easy. It's a little harder to show up on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. to help work on something. So find your passion, follow your heart, invest, vet, obviously, the agencies that you're going to work with, but invest your time, your treasure, your talent, all those things into that. And if you want to try to build that out in your business, your team members, your employees that see that, probably will follow along. They'll follow that example.
Wonderful, thank you. Aaron, how about you, with your wealth of even for-profit business background and now nonprofit? financial institution, what wise counsel would you offer?
I think that if you seek to emulate Christ in how you lead your team or your business, if you seek to emulate Christ in how you love others, that your example and you'll radiate the love of Christ to others. And I found that they can't help but be moved by that. I mean, in doing that, you are spreading the gospel. You are showing the transformative impact of Christ's love on yourself and in your community. And I think that speaks louder than words.
Aaron, how about for the non-business owners? So that was kind of for, hey, if you own a business, you run a business, you're senior leader. What if you're just working at the business? How do you plant seeds in the workplace?
Yeah, I think to Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not people. And that to me tells me that work itself can be an act of worship. That you can be planting the seeds even in the most secular of organizations. You can be planting the seeds of Christ's love in your everyday interactions and how you treat colleagues, how you do your work. Our God is a God of excellence, and He calls us to excellence. And I think, in living out that calling, you are spreading the gospel. You are showing the transformative impact of Christ's love.
Awesome. How about you, Tim?
I think it just comes back to being salt and light. You know, as you are interacting with your coworkers, as you're interacting with your customers, if you're flavored and seasoned like salt does, and if you will shine that light of God's goodness and grace and mercy on all that you do, people are paying attention. People will follow that lead. Even for Compass classes among folks that you work with, trying to get that started just by taking that initiative, taking that step, getting that started. People see the impact that other people's lives, when they're touched, they want to be a part of it. They want to join in. So being salt, being light, just leading by example.
Thank you. So, last question here. So, Tim, if people want to get a hold of you, people want to learn more about First Southern National Bank, what's the next step?
Just, there's a bunch of us around here. Find any one of us and you can see us. I think we're going to put some ugly photos up on the screen here in a moment. It's got a QR code. You can scan that thing where they took the photo out. That's good. So the QR's up there. I really appreciate it. I was going to say it was as good as Mom and Dad could do.